Yes. Welcome to Ropes Podcast, and we're here with Pastor Nathan today. So people, if you're on Instagram, give us a thumbs up, give us a like, share the live. And if you're on TikTok, welcome to Ropes Podcast again. And Pastor Nathan, welcome to Ropes Podcast.
Thank you very much. Long time.
Yeah.
We're planning this years.
I know.
It's good to be here. Thank you so much for the invitation.
So how is everything? How are you in the weather? And
Well, I'm trying to keep warm, in a cold climate. So I'm wearing more clothes than I normally do. Yes, but I'm accustomed to it. I lived in the UK quite a lot and
Okay.
moved to warmer climes when it get a little too chilly,
Okay, Reverend Nathan, could you tell us a bit about your background and what lead you into the ministry? Before you go into the ministry, just tell me about your background.
All right. I'm British born of Trinidadian parents. And like many children who were born here, their parents at some point might send them back home. Some because of, the economic situation of having kids and being able to take care of them. And of course, some people get sent home because they're bad. But I wasn't in that case.
That was their punishment.
Yeah. But I was sent home when I was about 5 years old. Grew up with my grandparents in Trinidad and Tobago, and that to me was a life-changing experience because I met my grandmother, my great-grandfather, my great-great-grandmother, a great-aunt, a great-uncle. So, it was a very communal and strong family network. I grew up in an area that is notorious these days for criminal activity, but it was also the seat of African settlement in Trinidad, a place called Laventille.
Okay.
All right.
Any similarity to Jamaica?
A similarity in the sense that, you develop a particular kind of culture when you live in areas that are underserved and sometimes deprived from government development and so forth. Your Trenchtown, Jonestown type environment. So it's rough and you grow up rough.
Okay.
But you also learn some survival skills.
Okay. Okay. You were the reverend or the pastor, as we can say, the pastor for the Madison Road Methodist Church. Okay. So you move away to Barbados to be the preacher in Barbados, but you're back in UK now. So what bring you back to the UK?
Well, first I need to say that God had allowed me the opportunity to be able to go out to Barbados and pastor there. I had never pastored in Barbados before. One of my ancestors, my great-great-grandmother, was Barbadian born. And so it was good to be out there, but I finished my assignment. I had a 4-year assignment in Barbados, and I finished that. There are some people, and I want to dispel these rumors. I did not take COVID to Barbados. All right?
So were you accused that you take COVID to Barbados?
Listen, man, I landed in Barbados 2 weeks before the whole world shut down.
Oh.
So, the kind of coincidence.
So was it a way of getting away from the UK to get to Barbados before it shut down? Were you prior that the country was going to shut down?
No, I did not get any revelation. I know I have the name of a prophet, but I didn't prophesy that. No, I went out there. I wanted to be closer to my ailing parents, who lived in Trinidad, and so that's how I got out to Barbados at that time. Now that I've returned to the UK, I'm really awaiting my next assignment. Okay, in the African Methodist Episcopal Zion Church, of which Madison Road is one here in the UK. We have a global missions department, and that department has the responsibility of placing people on the mission field.
Okay. You're a well-educated man. You're a lecturer.
Yeah.
You write several books. Okay, and from your bibliography, it said defining the odds from the ghetto to the globe. How do you explain that? Because for somebody looking at you, they say, I don't see no ghetto about this man. This man like was well fed. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're well established. You go to parliament to represent the black community, and so how you define the ghetto in your book?
Well, the Ghetto really, that book is a kind of autobiography. It traces my childhood in the Caribbean, and as I said, in Laventille in particular, it has a reputation. And it has a reputation for, one, poverty, secondly, criminality. And that is not a fair description of the area, but it is the identity that sticks. You know, people like to hear bad things. You know, so that is the ghetto element, the fact that I tell people that there was a time in our lives as children, my siblings and so forth, where we ate food that was gathered from the municipal dump.
Wow.
You know, where the supermarkets threw the food. We had someone who would go and collect it. Then we as children would cut off the rotten part of the potato and all that sort of stuff. No, this is going back in
that
this...
wasn't by choice though.
No.
Because you maybe was just want to fit in with the rest of youths them in the community, the kids them in the community. So kids just do kid stuff.
No. We had to eat. Okay. And I tell people I understand why when you look at pictures of kids who are deprived with a big stomach, I know where that comes from. That is from worms and also a lack of protein, you know. So, we experienced that particular level of poverty, not all through my childhood, but there were certain years where definitely rotten meat don't taste good.
Okay.
I could tell you that.
Okay. So how well did the book do in the sale and market?
Well, I am a good writer. I'm a bad salesman. I tell you the truth.
So you didn't have no marketing? You didn't have marketing?
No, I didn't do the marketing stuff. I got the first lot of books printed, and when it sold out, it was only selling then. Well, you could only get it now on Amazon, Defying the Odds, from the ghetto to the globe.
So did you have it in auto book as well?
No.
You need to put it in auto
Well,
book.
what is now on the cards is a rewriting of that, and and updating it to the current times, and we may go there as an audiobook.
Okay.
Yeah.
Audiobook is good.
Yeah.
Okay. Christianity is the religion that the world the biggest in the world. Right? It's of over 2 million followers. But when you check Christianity today and check the churches are empty. What is the problem why 90% of the churches are empty?
Well, I think, Rupes, what you're reflecting is primarily a Western European image of the church.
Yes.
Right? The churches are not empty in Africa. The churches are not empty in South America.
Africa is a continent, so we're not gonna expect that the church is going to be empty. But when you check like and look at the Muslim community, even the local mosque, on a Friday you will see 600, 800 people praying, but on a Sunday or wherever they have church meeting, you'll find 5, 10, even the big massive church that can hold up to 2,000 people. You only have 15 people. What's going on in our community why people are not going to church no more?
All right, yeah, I noticed you use the word our community.
Yes.
All right. I'm assuming here you're speaking about people of African and Caribbean descent.
Yes.
Okay. We have got a crisis of faith taking place. After 70, 75 years of Windrush generation being here and having come with a Christian background, there's been a tremendous amount of challenge fitting into this society. Okay, you know, the rejection by the host community of many Christians who came and they told them, no, we really don't want black folks here, you could go down the road and so forth. That in itself was a turn off for many people who had a Christian background when they were in Jamaica, Grenada, or Guyana. Yeah. All right, one. Secondly, we as the Christian church leaders, black Christian church leaders, have not necessarily or did not necessarily make the necessary adjustment to help our children and our young adults to deal with the problems of this society. And so for many of them, the church had failed them. I'm talking about in terms of questions of identity, questions around education. I was speaking to a young lady just today and I said to her, I am aware of the fact that when many of you went into school, there was the attitude by your parents, just do what the teachers say, without our failure of recognizing that sometimes the systems in the school were affected by racism and by a certain level of prejudice that would put children who maybe were a bit loud in some special class and, you know, and that sort of thing. So we didn't fully grasp the change in the culture and the context within which we were in. That also had an impact. And, you know, leadership is not just your politicians. Your church leaders are also part of leadership. And they are supposed to be able to read the times. We didn't always do that. But if the truth be told, there are black churches that are also full. Okay? But you are right that there are a lot of small independent churches, which again is a reflection of some leadership issues that we have. So we don't always allow young leaders to come up and encourage them, and sometimes they have to go off on their own and so forth.
So how can we change that?
Well, I think we have to start from where we are. And where we are is look within our congregations, in our churches, and look for potential and support and invest in that potential. Okay. Whether it is our young business people, our entrepreneurs. I was speaking with someone the other day and I said, we make altar call for people to be healed. We make altar call for people to be saved. And we're not making any altar call for people to come and do business or go into the public sector. You know, we need some Christian politicians, you know, and we need to be able to inform the processes that are governing us.
Yeah, because that's the only way we're going to create wealth. It's through education.
Well, it's through education, but we also need, with education, you need action.
And action.
Okay. Recently, and I want to make a shout out to the Pentecostal Community Bank, which used to be called the Pentecostal Credit Union. They've been upgraded to a bank, and I want to say we thank God for the wisdom of the trustees and so forth in that institution. But that institution is the premier leading black financial institution in the United Kingdom.
Okay, so who do they lend money to? The members? Or does the member apply to get money to get funding to borrow, or or funding, does funding in general? How does they apply for it?
Yes, you become a member of the bank, all right? As a community bank, it still has members like a credit union.
Okay.
And once you have an account going, then you have access to be able to borrow from that institution, either as an individual, as a business person, or even as a church.
Okay.
All right. That institution, I know at least half a dozen folks within the church that we go to that have got their houses because of that institution. You know, so it is available there, but for some reason, we also have a problem with trusting our own. And so there are folks who are prepared to invest their money in a high street bank rather than in our own community banks.
So in reality, the church wants some of what we're going over to the high street. The church wants some of that money.
Yes, yes. Because, you know, the issue within the United Kingdom, we are the last hired and the first fired. And the reason for that is people don't see us as being the drivers of wealth.
Yeah.
Okay? And people do things to you when you are poor. They do things to you when they feel that you don't have the wherewithal to be able to defend yourself. And I'm not just speaking in military terms. I'm talking about economically. You know, you say,
yeah, that's what our community lack of, economical terms. We are not successful in that department. We work hard. Individually, most of us are doing okay. But collectively, we're very poor.
Well, I want to even say that individually, many of us are not doing okay. We could be doing better.
Yeah, we could be doing better.
All right.
But the next generation, the next generation coming up, they're more intelligent than us. And we're living into a computer world now where these youngsters, this generation coming through, they are studying hard. They're pushing above. Most of us, you know, my generation, we were learning trades and different things like that. No, this generation want to be architect. They want to design buildings more than just being a tradesman.
Yeah.
So we are. It's looking good so far.
I am very pleased with your optimism. I am a little cautious, however. Let me tell you why. Just a few days ago, we heard of the sentence or the sentencing of a policeman who shot a young man called Chris Kaba. All right? That's a young man who is actually the age of one of my grandchildren. Okay? So they could have been playmates together. What went wrong? Okay? We have a situation in which we have got to take responsibility for our youth. We cannot assume that they will do well. Okay? And so, although I'm optimistic in the sense that I believe our youth have potential, this potential has to be guided. There is something called the school to prison pipeline. And we need to
By design.
By design, but we need to make holes in it to rescue those who are in there. Okay. You with me?
I'm with you. What do you think is because the system is by design and it's designed for us, for we to end up in prison because there's a very thin line for we to walk, for we to tread. Do you believe that if the man up more and be a family man more than having women all over the place and take care of their kids, do you think that would have better results?
I think that is a stereotype. I don't look at the situation just in terms of a black man needs to man up. This is a system that is rooted in 500 years of enslavement, colonialism, neo-colonialism. We are at the heart of empire. Right? This is the heart of the empire. Okay, and the system, as you rightly said, was not designed for us to prosper. Okay, but that is also a class system, and the class system is not designed for everybody to do well. It's for a few to do well. Okay, so given that context, we need within our schools, and where we don't have our schools, we need people who could create safe spaces to help our children in their learning and in their applying of what they learn. Okay? And that is beyond just being able to say the ABC and the times tables.
Okay. We understand that, and we seem to keep blaming slave for everything, all right? We cannot shake it off. It's there and it exists up to this day, but there's windows of opportunity.
Yes.
What we can take, and we can climb that step one by one, because so we need to pull ourselves away from this did happen in slave and that is it. Because we can't forget it. But we cannot keep living for generation to generation. And let me ask you something. I was at a church the other day, and I heard a pastor was preaching about generation wealth. And he was talking that he's not going to leave nothing for his kids.
Yes, I heard him.
And I was disappointed.
I was very disappointed.
Because what's the point? Because that's the reason why we are still feel like we are enslaved. Because if you're supposed to try to leave something for your kids or your grandkids or your family, so they can work and what you have and create generation wealth.
Yeah.
What's your take on that?
Okay. I happen to be in the same church when that and I just shook my head. I'm sorry that we are guilty as preachers of misleading our people many times. All right, especially when it comes to matters that we are not fully understanding. And the issue of economic wealth. Last Saturday, I had a seminar on the cost of living crisis. And one of the things I said, it is evil for a church to ask people to tithe, give a tenth of their income, when that same church hasn't taught them how to budget. You with me? And to the gentleman's statement about here leaving nothing because somebody will come and spend it out and so forth. It is short-sighted.
Yeah, it is short-sighted because he's looking at you want to go on holiday. He's looking at little things that don't really matter because you're gonna leave money. Somebody's gonna spend it, yes, but what are they gonna do with it?
Yeah, what it tells me is that he did not work with his children.
Yes.
To train and discipline them on how to handle money.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what that taught me.
And the part where you say about people don't in the church, they don't tell you how to budget and they want 10% of your wages. Okay. At the same time, I see people like they're doing prayer fasting and they plant a seed. And the pastor will say to the member in the church that we need £100 from everyone in the church to plant for prayer. And you would see like a couple of old ladies in the church who can't even knock 2 cents together. They're being trembling, they're nervous. I go to church where I see people faint because the demand. Do you think that demand is too great to ask of some of the members?
Yeah. Well, there are people who could afford to give £100 pounds.
Yeah, but wait, 1 second.
I come in.
1 second, 1 second.
Yeah.
Why didn't the pastor just say, please, we're planting a seed, it's for this reason, and if you can give £100, if you can give more than £100, but whatever you have,
right.
it's welcome.
Yes.
Would be a better approach?
It's certainly one approach, but it's another approach to be able to say to folks, we want you to give $100. pounds. But the issue is you should not be forcing people to give what they don't have. Okay? And if people are giving things grudgingly, all right, that is not really good for them or for the church. Okay? But my point about giving is this. Everywhere that I give money, if I give money to, let's say, a development agency that says it's doing A, B, and C in Africa, I'm expecting a report that tells me that you did A, B, and C. Okay? So with calling for monies, there must also be accountability. There has to be evidence that what we are doing and the direction that we are giving money in is actually making things better.
Okay. You saw like the pastor that preach and teach at the same time. But you got pastor who just come and they just preach. They open up the Bible and they just preach. They preach to the congregation, and whether you want to listen or not. And half the time, half the church is sleeping because they're not teaching. They just keep going over and over. Okay. How much would you describe the role of a black church in today's society? Has it changed over the years?
I believe it has. What has taken place is we do have a better educated clergy than we had 30 years ago. Okay? But we also have a changing situation in which the church is now, some would say, late in the game, beginning to say, how do we address the challenges in the society as a church? We've got a following, we've got the numbers, but this following and numbers, they go to work on Monday. All right? They may be in church on Sunday, but they go to work on Monday. The young people who were in the Sunday school or the Christian education department have gone out to school, college, university. How are they, what are they having to deal with? And how have we equipped them to deal with that? So things have changed. We are told that the rate of growth in the black churches in the UK is continuing somewhere around 3-4% every year, but the rate of Christianity in the country as a whole is falling, right? Okay. So that means, like in a place like London, we have somewhere between 46 and 48% of people who go to church in London being from African or Caribbean background. Yeah.
Okay, saying this, all right, 4%. You say 4%.
Yeah.
Okay,
growth.
that's growth. That's a lot of money in today's society for black churches. Where does the money go? What does it do? How does the member reflect? How does that money reflect on the member?
Well, and this is one of the reasons why I complimented the Pentecostal Credit Union. If we understand that coming together, I believe it's the Jamaicans have a saying, one cocoa fill the basket. Okay, so that is the weakness of our church, in the sense that we do not bring the resources together to develop our communities and society. Well, it can happen. It's happening with one or two churches, but not enough.
Let me cut it for a minute.
Yeah,
we keep emphasizing on churches. It's not the church. It's who lead in the church. It's the person who lead in the church, because they're the one who the member of the congregation look up to. Right, and then when the church is making money, they're paying their offering and doing this and doing that. How does it reflect back on them? Because there's some of them going home and don't have no food, nothing to eat. How does the church respond to that? How does the church help their member to grow?
Okay, you have a number of different situations. One is that I said before, really the church has a responsibility to teach its members how to budget. Okay. Secondly, we have a responsibility to be able to guide our membership in terms of how to develop businesses and so forth, because where you spend your money as an individual or as an institution, that is where you create wealth.